Well, one thing that happens that I have to remember about and try and avoid and be more careful of in the future. So I sat by the side of the road after getting off of Canadian Pacific property in Bensonville, had myself some breakfast, and got organized. There's little flower beds. They kind of have to take pride in that community. So I had breakfast by the flowers and then walked to the bus stop and made my way on various trains and buses, etc. And finally, the last leg of it, using Uber, I got to the Willow Springs yard. Well, I've made it to the other side of Chicago. This is the Willow Springs intermodal facility. I'm a little concerned. I've got cameras here, and it looks to me like the yard bull is just sitting down there watching. Blue car.
And Lions looks like 8 more to a stop. Let's keep it real low. Looks like they're dropping the flag.
What I can't tell is if this is a train getting ready to leave or backing in. It'll be a while before I understand this.
Stop there.
And based on what I'm seeing, I don't think this is going to be a daytime hop out of here. And the intermodal facility is very secure, and you can't, you don't ever want to go in there. So when the trains make themselves up, they stick out a ways from the facility. Well, I was hoping that, I would see them stopping in a position where I could get on. But there's a bull that sits there, security. And then there's also a BNSF police vehicle, labeled as such, running up and down the tracks on occasion. So it was pretty obvious that this was not a daytime deal. So I killed some time. Just charging up my phone. I had this guy roll in while I was sound asleep and ruin my nap. Watch the trains, and then I cut across the tracks to the west side. Even though it's an east-west line, it's actually running north and south through here. I cut across the tracks. There's a giant wall that runs the length of the tracks up to where it crosses the road. And that wall, I think, is really for blocking sound for the neighborhood right there. But I don't know. It may be for security reasons as well. So on one side you've got a nature reserve. On the other side you have this giant wall. There's about 4 sets of tracks in between the two. The tracks on the east side are for incoming trains. The tracks on the west side are for departures. So I went over there, rolled out my sleeping bag because I was still tired even though I'd gotten a little nap, and I passed out. And then this wall is where Stobe and Ran Out on a Rail are trying to catch out to Denver one night.
a ride there. Just let's have faith.
We are awful close to the head units.
He's gonna back in.
We gotta go, there's mini wells, come on. What the fuck? Come on, we can still make this.
Stay here!
Okay. Hey, catch.
And you can see their train pulled all the way out and then backed in and then left, and they caught it on the fly. Well, that's really difficult for me at my age and carrying a big pack. I don't think I could do it. At least I hope I don't ever have to do that. So I sat there. No trains, even the ones that left, never came down that far on my by that wall. So they were going way too fast. There was no way I could catch them even if I wanted to. And so I finally realized that, I'm wasting my time, I'm afraid. And by now it's getting dark, which is what I wanted. But there's cameras and people, and I could see that this was just going to be really, really iffy. So I was tired, and I make bad decisions sometimes when I'm tired. So for instance, I flew the drone to scope out this whole thing. I don't think I ever recorded the video because there's no video there. So I apparently never pressed record. But anyway, I'll add some aerial, Google Maps or something so you can see what this place is like. But I finally realized what I was going to have to do was take Greyhound to Fort Madison, because I was planning to go from Willow Springs to Fort Madison so that I could do some filming and whatnot. So I decided I was just going to have to walk over to the Speedway, about probably 3/4 of a mile from where I was, and I would Uber into the Greyhound station and take Greyhound to Fort Madison to continue this trip. Just avoid Willow Springs altogether, right? So I walked down there, and I got looking, and that wall actually ended a little bit before the yard. And I kind of went up through some woods and figured out that, yeah, I could see where the trains were, and I could see ones ready to leave. I couldn't... The scanner interrupted when the guy was talking about which train it was. Sometimes you can pick out which train they're working on. But there is a rideable car right there, probably 100 foot in front of me, and across an open area, but I'm looking both ways, and I don't see anybody. I don't see a bull, I don't see the conductor, I don't see anybody working the train. And then I hear on the scanner the conductor has the guy back up 3 cars to a join, and my perfect ride moves down 3 cars. So now it's about 150 foot to my left, but still there. And then the train sits there. And finally I just thought, to hell with it, man. I came to ride trains, let's go. So I grabbed my crap, ran across the open area, or in my case walked very quickly across the open area, climbed up on that train, got my crap all up on there, looked over the other side, and there was the bull, 3 cars ahead of me on the other side. Had that train not backed up those 3 cars, I would have climbed onto that car right next to the bull. It probably would have been one of those things like, oh, hello. Well, miracles of miracles. I'm rolling out of Willow Springs, and man, security is really tight here. I got on this right in a container, dirty face. I got on, looked over the side of the car, and the bull was over on the other side of the next track. And luckily he didn't see me climbing on. I laid low and off we go. Step 2 underway here. And consider myself very lucky to off we went. The only problem that I had was that it was very cold, and number two was that I didn't know for sure where this train was going. Most of them go at least through Kansas City and on west, but some of them cut off for Dallas Fort Worth, and the one Stobe and his buddy ran out on a railroad, cuts off and goes through Burlington and goes to Denver. And so, you know, I've got my hopes up that this thing doesn't do that. It was very cold that night, got well below freezing, and so I hunkered down, and still tired, I fell asleep, and pretty soon I heard the change in the sound of the wheels, and I looked up and realized we're going across the swing bridge into Fort Madison. And I packed up my stuff, and the train stopped, and I got off, and that was that. I'd cleared Willow Springs and made it to Fort Madison. But anyway, so the adventure continues.
I don't know if that's going to be in focus or not. I made it to Fort Madison, and this is where I sacked out, just in an industrial area right by the railroad tracks. Train after train came through, but I was beat, and it is cold, so I'm not getting out of my sleeping bag anytime too soon here. I can hear a tugboat. The Mississippi's a stone throw off that way from me. And by stone's throw, you'd have to have a pretty good arm. But anyway, I'm going to get a bunch of photography done here today, so I will catch up on video and whatnot. But I wanted to get a shot of that tree over there with the sunrise. It's not something I normally see.